Hey, what's up, everybody? I decided I want to do a live episode of Speaking, my podcast, which is on YouTube. And I wanted to talk to you about behind the scenes, the journey to the keynote stage, and also to the corporate training stages, right? So um, I was thinking about this because I was having a conversation with one of my clients yesterday, and she was telling me, Kelly, you need to be out there more. You need to show people more of who you are and what you do. And I was like, but my life is boring. My life is boring. And I was saying that to her because I'm really truly just I'm more of a private person. I just like, I like to work, and a lot of what I do is work. And I wanted to talk about the truth behind the journey to, getting on keynote stages and corporate. And it's not all the flights and flash, but it's always fun, right? Sometimes it's the flight, sometimes it's the flash, but most often what we do as keynote speakers, as corporate trainers, is what's happening behind the scenes. And so I wanted to just chat with you a little bit about that today and give you two different examples of like one of a keynote that I did recently and the journey to getting that keynote stage, and then also another one like a corporate stage. So I just want to give you a little bit of that kind of behind the scenes, because most often what you see, speaker life, right? Hashtag speaker life is people on planes, or, I'm flying here, I'm flying there, I'm on stage. And I do that too, right? I am on stage, I am in airports. Most of that footage is in my phone. it never sees the light of day. There are things that I do for fun that never again see the light of day. I love going to comedy shows with my hubby. We're going to one this weekend. I like going to certain concerts so I can sing and dance my little heart out, because dancing, I love, love, love dancing. We travel next week. We'll be going to on our vacation. So there are things that happen behind the scenes. And the reason that I'm saying these things for you is because I don't want you to think that everything has to be out in the world for everyone to see. And if they don't see it, that means that you're not successful. And I understand what my client is saying, right? And I get it. And people need to know who you are on a personal level. And she's much better at being out there and showing her life. I am not, because I come from a profession in the law where I'm like, no, you're not getting all that. So you could do whatever you want with it. And so I have not released that from my life, in terms of putting all of, just putting your life out there. And I just think that there's some things that they're just yours, right? And truth be told, when I am speaking, when I am on vacation, when I am out and about, child, I forget. I truly do forget to take pictures and video, because I'm in the moment of it all. And, I remember one time, this happened a few years ago, when I started mentoring speakers. There was a woman who was talking, I was talking to her about being her mentor. And she said, but I haven't seen pictures of you on stages. So I guess she had Googled me and she didn't, see like, oh, pictures of me on stages. And I was like, yeah, because I'm sitting in my house behind my computer with my clients paying me multiple five figures. I don't need to be on a stage where you can see me. And that's important to understand too, that there are lots of people who are out here making money in corporate spaces, in consulting, that you won't see them on stages, and you may not see the all the flash and bang and everything that everybody else is putting out there in the world. It does not mean, however, it does not mean that they're not doing the things, right? It does not mean that they're not getting paid well. And so you know I will listen to her, and I will do a little bit better about sharing some of the stuff. And like I said, a lot of it's in my phone. I just don't, when I come back, I'm like, I'm on to the next thing. And I'm not sitting there like, oh, let me put all the video together. So I'm going to try to get better. And if you ever want to know anything, just ask me. Truthfully, just ask me. But a lot of what I do is spend time. I'm a visionary, and a lot of what I do every day is create, right? I like to create. I like to be in that creation mode. And so if that's who you are, and you're not a person who wants to show everybody your house and your car and what you're eating in every waking moment, and you move from the left side of the room to the right side of the room, and now you're in the back of the room and everybody has to see. If you're not that person, it's all right. It's okay. And if people don't want to work with you because of that, then they're not your people, right? Your people will find you, and your people will understand who you are because you show up in different ways. Like you can't say that you can't find me, right? I'm on YouTube, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, begrudgingly on Instagram and Facebook, same thing too, right? So I'm there, and there's always stuff out there. So I wanted to put that at the beginning of this. So, as we talk about being on stages, and we talk about what it's like to actually be a speaker and to be a highly paid speaker, it looks different for everybody. Some people like to be out and about and tell you every single thing that is happening in their world, and kudos to them, right? That is great. And, if that were my personality, I would do it too. So no shade to them. But then there are people like me who are true ambiverts, and I don't like all that necessarily, right? I do like to be on stage. And when I'm in the moment, I'm in the moment. When I'm not, I'm not. So that was just a little kind of personal, my personal brain sharing that with you. But now I also really want to talk to you about, and I'm trying to see if I'm live on Instagram, because I was live on Instagram the other day and didn't realize that if I don't capture the comments while the live is on, that I will lose it. So I'm trying to see. Let me go over here, see if I'm on Instagram. Hold on one second. It's taking a while for me. Oh, there I am. Okay, so I am live on Instagram, but there we go. All right. So what I really want to talk to you about today is what I call the journey to the keynote stage. And I'm going to give you two examples. And what I'm going to do is go from being on the stage and then go through all the things that, and it won't be every single thing, but I want to show you like the roadmap to getting there. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want you to understand that it takes work. And I know some people are like, no, don't show them how much work it takes. It takes work. And I'm just not that person. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to make it seem like it's the easiest thing to do. It takes work. It takes dedication. It takes commitment. It takes consistency. It takes discipline. And I think it's important for you to know that. And especially if you are somebody who wants to work with me, you have to understand that that's how my brain works. That's the trajectory. That's the path that I'm on. And when you come, so you see scrolling across the bottom, the 6th Speaking Industry Expo, the whole idea behind that is to ensure that you really do understand that this work that we do, this wonderful work that we do as speakers, as trainers, as coaches, as consultants, is a business, and we have to run it as a business. And so I want you to get your tickets for the 6th, excuse me. Right now we're in the launch phase. So tickets are at the lowest price they are going to be. So if you're thinking about it, just go get your ticket. Go get your ticket. There's 3 different levels. Go get your ticket, and there's payment plans. There's no excuse. Okay. And then make sure you also book your room early so that you make sure that you have your space for November 3rd through the 5th in Atlanta. And if you are somebody who wants to be on stage, so one of the things that I know about speakers is that oftentimes you get hung up because people ask you for, especially if you're trying to get on conference stages, and I'll share with you why conference stages can be important. You don't have the, the video clip that they're asking for. You may not have a professional headshot. Well, if you want to be on the Iconic Talk stage and you apply and you're one of the 12 who are selected, you will get those types of marketing assets. So you will have a video clip and you will have at least one professional photo coming off of that stage. So that alone, that by itself is worth is worth everything, if you know what I know. All right. Okay, so let's talk about this journey to the keynote stage. So last month, I'm going to show you a picture. Nope, not that one. Hold on. That's not the one I want to show you. Last month, I was the keynote speaker for Administrative Professionals Day for Rosen Hotels. And let me see if I can get it bigger. There you go. And so that's me on the keynote stage, right? That keynote was 20 minutes. I think it was 20 to, I don't know how long I did it, but it's like 20 to 25 minutes, right? So that was the extent of my keynote, was 20 to 25 minutes. It was also a keynote that I had never done. I actually made it up for them, right? I decided to create a customized from scratch keynote for them based on their theme. So their theme was the Amalfi Coast meets Santorini, Greece. And one of the major things that they had was the lemon, right? The lemon was a focus. And you can't really see it on the tables, but they use lemons all around to, for decoration. Now, if you know me, you know I'm usually in either black or pink or something like that. But I decided I'm going to go yellow, and I was going to fit in with their theme. So one of the things that I went out and bought a yellow suit. Did not have a yellow suit. So how did I, though, get on this stage, right? So how did I get to this place where I have a paid speaking engagement keynote where I'm speaking for 20 minutes on this stage at the Rosen Hotel? So let's talk about it. So I'm on the stage. So let's, like I said, I'm going to do it backwards, right? So you saw that picture of me on the stage. Before I got on that stage, I had to make sure that I prepared. So that's April 2025. I had to prepare this new keynote. I had never done it before. So what did I have to do? I had to spend some time really ideating and thinking about how do I use lemons and what they wanted me to accomplish, which was to really inspire and motivate the audience. So how do I do that? Because I don't talk about lemons, right? That's not what I do. So I spent days really thinking about it. And this is a process that I use when I am preparing keynotes. I really think about the ideas, right? I really think about the journey that I'm trying to take the client on. And I have built so many different frameworks. I have so many frameworks that I use, but there are specific frameworks around developing signature talks. And so I'm always running that framework through my head and through the ideas that are coming to me, and also, laying on top of that, the journey that I want to take the audience on. So the keynote ended up being leadership lessons from a lemon, which they loved. So you've seen some of the testimonials on my page, but they loved it because I really thought about the audience, right? And thought about how can I take them on the journey that the client asked me to take them on. So before I got on that stage, I had to spend days, right? Ideating, thinking about it. And then I had to spend the time to put my presentation together. Now, I put together my own presentation slides because I like doing it, right? That's the creative process for me. So that takes time too, right? So again, that takes some time. But before I even got to presenting, right, or developing the presentation, I had to have a call with the client to really understand what they were trying to accomplish for this event. What is the journey that they wanted the audience to go on, and how did I fit in that journey? What would make it a win for them? And that's how, again, really having that conversation and understanding what my role was in that 20 minutes, then that helped me to really develop the presentation that I then delivered on stage. Before that call, there was all kinds of emails and correspondence going back and forth around, what I needed. Did I want a lavalier mic? Do I need a podium? Will I have a PowerPoint presentation? Right? There's communication going on about logistics and, how long the presentation is going to be, all of those types of things. One of the things that they also did was they bought like 100 and some of my books, right? So I had to make sure that I set aside time to sign those books. I had to order the books, I had to get the books in, I had to sign those books, and then we had to coordinate how the books were going to get there and what we were going to do with the books, right? So there's all of this back and forth that's going on, even before I ever get on stage, right? Before I ever get on stage. Before that, before those emails are happening, we're not having logistics conversations unless we have a contract signed. So there is the contract signing phase of this, right? So draft up the contract, send the contract, they review the contract, come back with right? And there's negotiations around the contract. And so this, there wasn't a big negotiation in this one, but generally there is some type of negotiation, right? Now, generally, and I shouldn't say at the contract phase, generally once we're in contract, there's not a negotiation that's happening. Usually what happens is there's a proposal phase that precedes the contract phase. And in that proposal phase is where you're negotiating, right? So by the time you get to contract, it's just for people to exchange and sign. And by the way, I just did a new video on the podcast about proposals. Go watch that. You should go check that out on proposals. So then you have your proposals, right? And this one we had the contract. Prior to the contract, then we had to have a sales call, right? So we had a sales call to discuss what they were looking for, what I could provide. Am I the right person? What are my rates? What do we need? All of those things. So we're having this sales call, right? So again, these are all the pieces that are come into play. Even I'm trying to get on Instagram, y'all. Even before I get on stage, right? So we have the sales call. Now, how did I get on the sales call, right? Because it didn't just fall out the air. How did I get on the sales call? I got on the sales call because I got a direct message on Instagram. Not Instagram, on LinkedIn. Now, a lot of you are on LinkedIn and you want to do keynotes or you want to do corporate training contracts. And you may get discouraged at times because you're posting content, you're out there and people are not liking your content. Yes, the 6 is going to be amazing. They are not, they're not liking your content. They're not commenting on your content. And you may think people are not watching. Nothing could be further from the truth. People are watching. Decision makers are watching all the time, and they will not necessarily comment. They will not necessarily like. But if you take that and then you don't show up, I promise you, then you really won't get anything. Okay. So the way that I got on this sales call was that I got a DM in my LinkedIn. I immediately responded. We coordinated to get on a call. This is so important. When people DM you, direct message, when people email you, it's not okay to be like, oh, I'll just get back to them, or I'm busy right now, or whatever. No, get back to them. Why? Because when decision makers decide to get in your inbox, on your calendar, they're ready. They're ready to move forward. And if you don't respond, they will move on, right? They're not going to wait for you. I remember I was looking at, this was like during the holidays, and I don't know if it was last year or the year before. And somebody was saying how somebody had sent them an email and they were like, oh no, I'm on vacation. I'm off for the rest of the year. I'll get back to you. Okay. Okay. People work all year long, right? And so if you're a speaker, trainer, coach, consultant, and somebody reaches out to you, a decision maker reaches out to you, then you need to follow up, right? So she DM'd me, I followed up. Now, how is it that she got into my DMs? Like, why was she in my DMs? Well, she had seen me speak at HR Florida, the HR Florida conference, which is a conference I love, speaking there again this year. And that was in August of 2024. Okay. So I didn't get on the stage until April 2025. She saw me speak in August of 2024. Why am I telling you that? Because I want you to understand that sometimes there is a gap and sometimes there is a big gap. Sometimes the gap is shorter, but understand that sometimes these things take time. So she saw me speak at HR Florida. And then when an opportunity came up, she reached out to me. Okay, so understand that there's a process of how decision makers think and how they move through their buying process, right? So corporations, corporate spaces, how they move through their buying process. So she saw me speak, and she saw me speak at HR Florida. She DM'd me when there was a need. Well, how did I get on the stage at HR Florida for her to see me? Well, to get on the stage at HR Florida, I had to submit a proposal, right? So there was a call for speakers, which has a deadline, just like we have a call for speakers for the 6th with the deadline of June 16th. So if you want to be on stage so that people like my client or anybody else who is a decision maker can see you, so that when an opportunity comes up, they can reach out to you. You see where I'm going? Go to speakingindustryexpo.com/call for speakers and apply. Anyway, so I had to submit my proposal, right? What did I have to do before submitting my proposal? I had to have something to submit on. I had to have a talk. I had to have a signature talk. Now for HR Florida, I actually was doing new talks. So I had developed new talks. So again, you're in the space of there's time, energy, effort that you have to be working through to develop your talks and develop your presentations. So when the opportunity arises, you are ready. Had I not done that work, then when HR Florida came up with their call for speakers and it was time to submit, I would have nothing to submit. Right? So this is all of the work that's taken me just to get to the stage. And the HR Florida submissions, when do they do I think they do their submissions. I think their deadlines end in I think it's February, right? So before February, so we're going back, right? And I'm talking now February of 2024. So you see how long this process can be just to get on the stage for the 20 minutes, right? There's all these things that have to be in place and that you need to put in place. It's not just about, oh, I just showed up. I just showed up on stage. Okay. So then before I do my presentation, before I even know what the presentation is that I want to put together, the signature talks, the signature presentations, I've had to do some other work, right? I've had to position myself as a thought leader, as an expert in the space. I have to show up consistently. I have to show up on video. It's one of the really interesting things to me about speakers, that you don't like to be on video, that you're scared to be on video, and you don't want to do lives, and you don't want to speakers speak. Right. And so people want to be able to see you. So yes, she saw me speak in person, and that's great. Somebody may not have seen me speak in person, but they can see me doing lives. They can see, if I put up other snippets of me speaking in other places. So if you're a speaker, they have to see you speak, right? Speakers speak. So you want to make sure that you have things out there. You want to be positioned to be able to do that. But how do you get positioned? How do you get positioned? Positioning comes from understanding your expertise It comes from understanding who your audiences are. It comes from understanding what their problems are. It comes from understanding what your unique frameworks or unique mechanisms are. It comes from understanding the entire foundation upon which you are going to build your business to solve a particular problem for a particular set of people who will pay for that problem to be solved. Right? And so that is part of the positioning. This is part of what we're going to be doing at the 6th Speaking Industry Expo, is really helping you to understand both the CEO and the talent side of your business. Because many of you, all you're doing is showing up as talent. The person that I showed you here. This is where most of you spend your time here, talent. On stage. This is what you focus on. But if you're listening to what I'm telling you, you'll see that there's lots of other work that I had to do, right? I had to be in sales conversations. I had to be in marketing. I had to be negotiating. I had to be developing presentations, right? I had to be my stylist and figure out what I'm going to wear, right? I had to go get my hair done. All the things, right? There's so many other things that you do. And so when we are at the Speaking Industry Expo, the 6th, in the Business Incubator Day, we're really going to be showing you how to focus on the entire business as both your roles as CEO, finance, HR, sales, operations, and yes, talent. But talent on stage alone or talent negotiating is not going to help your business. You have to be able to separate yourself and understand that CEO and all the other hats, right? If you wear them alone by yourself, or if you have other people, those roles are what gets you on stage to be successful and to keep being on stage so that your business can run, right? So the other things that I had to do in order to position myself to be selected to be on the HR Florida stage so that my client could see me speak and then put me on her stage is to make sure that I had testimonials, right? Make sure that I have third-party validation. So I have been on TV. I have, testimonials from other talks that I have done. I have written books, right? There's all these things that are out there in the world so that it's not just me saying, I'm the greatest, pick me, right? But there are other people who can vouch for me and other people who can validate that, yes, when I say this is, who I am and why I should be on your stage, there's actually third party corroboration for that. Okay. So I want you to understand all of those things that it took. So if you think about the years, it took all the years of experience as a lawyer, right? September 22nd, I will celebrate my 30th year of being sworn into the Florida bar. So it took all of those years of experience, then coming into entrepreneurship in 2020 full time, right? And really developing my keynotes, really developing my stride in this business, really setting up my brand, right? And for people to understand who I am, what it is that I do, and always, shifting and pivoting and making adjustments along the way so that when the opportunities arise, I am positioned properly. So positioning is my expertise. That's what I really work with my clients on, is ensuring that you take all of that expertise that you have in your brain and I help you to position yourself powerfully, position you and your expertise powerfully into something that can help you to really build an expertise-driven business through speaking. Okay. So if you want to know how to do any of that, then come to the 6th speakingindustryexpo.com. And if you want to be on my stage, come to speakingindustryexpo.com/call for speakers and apply to be on the stage. So that was an example of being on a keynote stage. Now I'm going to give you another quick example. And this example is about getting into a corporate stage, right? So doing some corporate training. So 2024, I did I did training for a company in New York. So how did I get on that stage? Well, so we're on stage. I don't have a picture of that one, but I'm on stage, right, in New York. Well, how do I get to New York? Well, I live in Florida, so I have to get from Florida to New York. So that takes time, right? That takes time, that takes effort. I have to plan, I have to get my ticket, I have to get on the plane, I have to get there, right? So that takes time. So that's part of the process, the whole travel and getting there. So for all the people you see that, they're on their flights everywhere, it takes time. And what that also does is that takes time out of your business, even if it's a 1-day event, right? So this was I think it was 90 minutes, but I was there longer because I did some other stuff with them. But anyway, so once you go there, it's the day before, the day of the event, and most times for me, I will leave the next day because depending on what time, and sometimes I want to stay. So you're taking 3 days out of your business, right? So you got to remember that too, and you got to build that in. And that is all built into how you get onto these stages and to get these contracts. So before I got there, I also had to prepare my presentation. Now, this is a presentation that I had done previously, but it needed some updating. So it wasn't from scratch, and I didn't have to do the ideation that I did for my keynote, but I still had to think about how I could customize it to the audience that I was going to be delivering this to. So there was still work involved in that. And I always ideate in my head before I put things on slides. I always think about the journey. I always think about what the slides are going to look like, what needs to be on them, what information I need. And when I do that, here's why I do that. And y'all, I'm having a hot flash. But here's why I do that. I do that because when it is in my brain like that, then when I go to do my slides, because I'm a visual person, I'm very visual, when I go to do my slides, then it's already in my brain, right? So I can tell you the order of my slides. I can tell you, I don't need to look at them. I don't need anyone. I don't need numbers on them. I don't need anything because the actual journey has been built in my brain, and then it's just put on slides for others to be able to join in, right? So that's how I ideate. And once I teach my clients through our signature chalk block print how to develop their talks, then they can do the same thing, right? You can ideate because there is a framework that we're using in order to ensure that you stay on track, whether that keynote is 60 minutes, whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's a 2-hour workshop or a whole full day. Okay, so there's preparation that has to be done before I travel, before I get on the corporate stage, right? Before the presentation, then for this one, there was contract negotiations, right? So we were going back and forth about the contract in we didn't do too much with that. Again, when I get to the contract phase, we've already gone through that process, and this process did actually have we had a sales call before the contracting phase, and so in that we then negotiated through email, right? So for this one, I didn't do a formal proposal like I've done in some. We had a conversation, so we had a sales call, we had a conversation. We talked about, what they were looking for, what I could provide, and we talked about fees and all that kind of stuff. And then we went back and forth in email. And that's how we did our contract negotiations. And then we did the contracting phase. But how did I get on the sales call? We got on the sales call after, for this one, we actually had a discovery call. So sometimes in the sales process, you will have a discovery call, then you'll have a sales call. Sometimes they will want to do, they'll ask for a proposal and they'll want to do a proposal meeting, and then you'll go into the contract phase. So it's not a one size fits all, and sometimes it's a little different. So you're just going to have to go with the flow. Just make sure that you are up for it and you're ready to go. And so for this one, we did have a discovery call to see, what they were looking for and whether I was available, whether I was interested in doing it. So we had that call first, and then we had an actual sales call. Most times, it has been my experience, and most of what I've done as a full-time professional speaker is usually it's just sales call to sending a proposal to contract. But this one was a little different, and you just go with the process. Don't go in thinking, oh my gosh, it has to be this way, or thinking that, okay, if you just have the discovery call, that means that now you're not going to have a sales call. No, it's just people have a process, you just follow it. But how did I get the discovery call? How did they reach out to me to decide that they wanted to have a call with me? Well, I said that this contract was 2024, right? So I did this contract in 2024. Here's what brought this contract to me. This was me on the TEDx stage, TEDx Ocala, and this was in 2018. 2018, and I just checked, and my this TEDx has over 63,000 views, which is crazy to me. And it's on the TED platform. It was elevated to TED like right after I did it, and that's a big deal in case you don't know. But I did this TEDx. So my TEDx was on the bystander effect. This company was doing a series, and one of the things that they wanted to have training on was bystander intervention. So they searched and they found me. And so we had a conversation. So that's 6 years in the making, right? So had I not done this TEDx in 2018, when they were looking in 2024, and I'm not the only person who's done anything on bystander, but when they were looking in 2024, had I not done it in 2018, I would not have been on this discovery call. So again, sometimes we're planting these seeds, we're doing these things, we're positioning ourselves, we are being out there so that when the opportunity arises, you are in the running, right? So if I had not done this TEDx, I would not be in the running. Now, how did I get on this TEDx stage? Well, I got on this TEDx stage after months and hours and hours and hours and hours of rehearsals. And it's so funny. I was looking in my phone last night, going through all of my pictures and videos, and I saw a bunch of the practice videos that I was doing for my TEDx. So I'm gonna put it together and put it out at some point so you can kind of see, right, how how that went. But it took months and months and months and months of prep. Now, did I do this alone? I did not. So TEDx, generally when you do a TEDx, the organization that is hosting the TEDx, so for example, Ocala, they will give you a coach. However, I wanted to have my own coach. So in order to be on that particular stage, I hired my own coach. She was in Japan. I'm in Florida. There's a time difference. And at the time that I was doing this, I was also practicing law full time. I was still a trial lawyer at this time. So I would go to work all day. I will come home in the evening, and she and I would be on the phone. And this is how I prepared to get on this TEDx stage, which 6 years later prepared me to close that corporate contract, right? And so before even doing this TEDx, before hiring the coach, right, I had to have prepared myself with branding and positioning, same thing, right, from the beginning, in which I had started putting my brand out there, putting out the fact that I wanted to be a speaker. I had started doing all of those things. I had started writing. I had written my first book by the time I was on stage, but I was writing my book at the same time that I was preparing for this TEDx. So it takes time, it takes effort, it takes work, it takes planting seeds, it takes all of those things. And the payoff, being on that TEDx stage, being on the stage at Rosen, being in the, in that corporate space with those amazing people. All of those things, when I say, it's not all flights and flash, but it is fun, that is the payoff. That is the fun part. That is the part where you get to really see all of your hard work come to fruition, and that hard work that you put in, that it's changing people's lives. It is impacting their lives. It is impacting organizations. It's impacting humanity. And so, yes, while there's, lots of flights, and there's, people who have lots of flash, when I said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to worry about, being the person that they see, in a Lambo or a Rolls, or, on a vacation every week, or, working, by the pool. I could do all that. We got a pool right there. I could go do that. I don't want to. I don't. I'm an inside girly, right? I like to be inside, and when I'm going on vacation, then I go on vacation, and I enjoy that too. But this is the work that allows me to do the work that I love, right? So I have to do this behind the scenes work so that I can be on those stages, so that I can be there in my yellow suit talking about leadership lessons from a lemon, right? And I get to create all of that here and then put it out to the world. So I just wanted to share that with you, to give you kind of a real live look at what it is that we do. Let me take this down. A real live look about what is behind the scenes. And these are the types of things that we are going to be talking about and working on at the 6th, the Speaking Industry Expo. I'm all about good, bad, ugly, and I'm all about real, right? I'm a down to earth person. What you see is what you get. And I believe that everybody has to be able to do things in the way that they want to be able to do them. So my role is to guide you. My role is to give you the tools and the strategies and the frameworks, and to then also, instill in you, right? Transfer the confidence to you to go out there and to be powerful and authentic, however that looks for you. Build this business, your expertise business, however you want to build it, not the way I want you to build it, however you want to build it. But understanding that there are things that you need to know, and things that you need to do, and things that you need to have in place in order for that business to be successful. So I wasn't planning on being there this long, but I have been. So I hope this was helpful to you. Again, I would love to see you at the 6th, the Speaking Industry Expo. It's November 3rd through the 5th in Atlanta. We have 3 days of amazingness that's going to happen. Now, it's 3 days if you get the mogul ticket. And right now we have our launch pricing. It is the best price. You should, if you are thinking mogul, go get that ticket now, right? Those rates are going to go up on June 7th. They are going to go up on June 7th. So make sure that you go grab your ticket, whether you want to be there for the 3 days, so that you have the mogul day, which is masterminding time with me. And then also day 2, which is our business incubator, where we're going to be going through, all these different types of labs to really help you with your positioning and your pricing and operations and sales and all this stuff, where you're actually going to implement and do work and leave with assets. You're not just going to come and leave with a bunch of notes in your notebook. You're going to leave with assets. That evening, we're going to have our opening reception in the expo hall. So I'm really excited about that. Again, this is a different type of event. The 6th is part expo, part speaker showcase, part business incubator. And it's very intentional and strategic in the way that it's set up. So the business incubator, and then day 3 is the speaker showcase, which I've been mentioning to you all. If you want to get on stage, we are going to put 12 speakers on stage. There is a process. There's an application process. There's a virtual audition process. And then we will select the 12 speakers who are going to be on stage. And those 12 speakers yes, you're going to pay. There is you can call it pay to play. You can call it a marketing investment, which is what I would tell you to call it, and really think about what you're doing for your business. And then you'll have a booth or a table at the event. in the expo hall, right? So that people will come and be able to see your business. You can set up your booth, your table, however you want, brand it, have your marketing assets, have your business be there so that people can come and talk to you and find out more about you. So they'll see you on stage. So they'll see you and hear you talk about your expertise, and then they can come to a dedicated space in the expo hall, not chasing you around, not you chasing them around. They can come to your dedicated space in the expo hall. The expo hall will be open days 2 and 3. And so people can come and talk to you. You stand in one place and people come to you, as opposed to you running around like a chicken with your head cut off. And again, you will get video and photos of you on that stage, which are so valuable as a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant. We'll also talk to you about how you can get your testimonials, which again is valuable. So for example, when I just did my keynote the other day, there were over 100 and something people in the room, and I got 61 testimonials. How else are you going to get that? Right. So we'll show you how to make sure that you get that, and not just get random testimonials, get testimonials that actually mean something and that you can leverage, right? It's one thing for people to tell you, oh, you're wonderful and you were great. Sometimes I tell people, I'm like, I know you think I'm awesome, but that's not what I need. So, we'll talk to you. So this is a true learning experience. It's not just, I promise you, it's not just another conference where you come, you get information, you go. This is a true, I don't know. It's just one of a kind. It's the first of its kind trade show for speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants. It's an entire ecosystem. The 6 is intentional. The 6 means something. The 6 has, everyone has a role at the 6. And so, yeah. And if you're somebody who you're like, I just want to come, you can just come and attend. If you're somebody who's like, Kelly, I'm not a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant, but I have a business that group they are my ideal client. Come on in. We're looking for sponsors, and we're also looking for exhibitors. If you're a speaker, trainer, coach, or consultant, and you aren't going to speak and you want to do more than just attend, you can also be an exhibitor. So you just need to choose your journey, choose your experience at the 6. There are many ways for you to do that. If you are a decision maker, if you're someone who hires speakers, whether in the corporate space or for associations or conferences or retreats or whatever it is, if you are that person, we want to have you in the room, right? We're curating the stage for you. And when I say curate, I mean curate, right? Because I don't play around with putting people on stage or putting people out where my name is attached. I am very protective of my reputation. So we will be vetting who is on that stage. So you will be getting a caliber of people, a really high caliber of people on the stage. So if you know that you're going to be planning events and you need some fresh voices, you need some fresh faces, come on. And guess what? You get to come for free. And if you're media, you also get to come for free if you want to come and cover the event. So you just have to be a true decision maker. You have to be a vetted media source. But if you are, you can go to the registration page of the site, speakingindustryexpo.com, and grab and it's XPO, not EXPO. You can just request to attend and get your complimentary pass. So we're going to be working hard to make sure that this experience, that the 6, is truly like nothing you have ever experienced before. So again, go to speakingindustryexpo.com to grab your ticket, to become a sponsor, to become an exhibitor, to apply for the speaker showcase, to request your complimentary pass if you're media or a decision maker. Figure out where you fit in the B2B growth ecosystem of the 6. And one other thing we're going to do is 30 days before and up to 60 days after the 6, we're going to have an online community. So 30 days before, we'll open that community. October 1st, we'll open that community. Everybody can be in there. You can meet people. You can talk to people. So if you're somebody who's coming to the event by yourself and you're like, I'm not going to know anybody, You need to dive right into that community and start getting to know people so that when you get there, you don't feel alone. And we're not going to let you feel alone anyway. So if you're coming by yourself and you're like, Callie, I don't know, just let us know. And we'll make sure that you get a buddy, that you have somebody to hang out with. All right, y'all, I'm going to get off of here. Again, go to speakingindustryexpo.com. If it's not for you, but you know somebody who this is for, let them know. Share this video with others. Share the link with others. Make sure if you want to be on stage that you apply, because the deadline is June 16th. There will be no extensions unless something just catastrophic happens and we got to change some stuff. But for right now, the deadline is June 16th. Make sure that you get in so that you could be, one of the people that we review your application, decide if you're coming for the audition, and then, possibly you'll be one of the featured speakers on our Iconic Talk stage at the 6th, November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta. All right, y'all, that's it for now. Until next time, take care.